It's Saturday. It's 9 o'clock. Yes, that can only mean one thing. Yeah. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo-hoo-hoo! It's the start of the weekend. Yes. It's looking pretty damp and miserable out there, but it is the weekend nonetheless. And this is the Monster Magic Saturday Show. It's going to be a slightly card-heavy show today, I'm afraid. There was going to be a mentalism style effect in it, but it turned out that was a complete copy of a previous trick that was released some years ago, and been in touch with the creator, and fortunately a lot of magic shops have now been contacted by the creator and they've taken it down off their websites. Unfortunately, a few shops are still stocking it, and Murphy's Magic are still stocking it. And I'd really just like to have a quick sort of mention the thing about ethics, because sadly in this world of magic of ours, we are sort of governed solely by ourselves. There's no real legal fight you can put against someone who does actually copy one of your magic tricks. So it's really down to our own morals and our own ethics. And I have to say, this trick really surprised me that someone had the gall to do it. And not only that, they are a member of the Magic Circle here in England, and they filmed the trailer at the London Magic Circle headquarters, which is completely nuts. I've actually written a Facebook post about it, so if you go to the Monster Magic Facebook page, you can read a bit more about that issue. But I think there's this idea that that stealing someone's magic trick or someone's idea or their creative output is a victimless crime, and it really isn't. If you've ever had it happen to you, you'll know it is very similar to being mugged. It really does hit you hard in the stomach. You do feel robbed, and it is just a very unpleasant experience. And because there's so little you can do in the magic world, it's a shame. The wholesaler are still selling the tricks that people have for years been telling them are complete copies. After my Facebook post, Chris Philpott of 100th Monkey got in touch with me. So this is the point, it doesn't just happen to small creators, and it's not just done by small people just starting out. So Chris Philpott, 100th Monkey, 10 years ago, was a massive hit. And it is absolutely brilliant and highly original piece of work. And then a famous Menny Leadenfield came along, and this year completely copied all of Chris's work. Really, the routines are very similar, and the idea of that Menny's claiming is his, having in the book, was Chris's anyway. And he claims the way that Menny feels about it is that he's taken what is already out there. So if you don't know 100th Monkey, it is based on sort of passing images. I think they're called, invented by a couple of professors at MIT. And there's a famous one of Einstein and Marilyn Monroe. And if you look close up, it looks like Einstein. If you get further away, it'll look like a picture of Marilyn Monroe. It's really brilliant. Chris was influenced by this, changed it from images, because images didn't work very well in the magic world. I think distance, or quite why, I'm not sure. Changed it to words, came up with the idea of having the performance of it, the presentation of it, of making someone speechless or taking away their inability to read. He also added this sort of Gaussian background, which makes the effect much better, and having the first letter of the word the same as the one that they can't read. All taking a lot of research, a lot of time, just incredible thinking and effort went into creating 100th Monkey. It's absolutely brilliant. And for Menny to come along and just grab the finished product, and go and repackage it is just crazy. It's amazing that the wholesaler took it, the wholesaler who had 100th Monkey. You've had Chris's other work based on the passing principle, still took it. They knew. They've been told numerous of times by some great people, some Tom Stone and so on, that it's a copy and they should take it down, and they won't. But that is the world, sadly, we live in. But if you do know of any shop that's selling Hypnosis, I think it's called, by Manny Lenfield, please put a comment down below in this video, and I will contact that shop directly and ask them to take it down. It's impossible for Chris and everyone to sort of contact every shop. It's really, really hard to know who's stocking it, who's selling it, and fingers crossed we can just stop it from being out there. And sadly, Murphy's going to be stuck with a lot of them, but they really shouldn't be stocking it in the first place. Let's remember just how much grief we gave Craig Petty over E-Deceit not so long ago, and he got that simply because he sticks his head up above the parapet, holds himself accountable, and is willing to answer people's questions and to confront what he's been accused of. The other people have no leg to stand on. They've got no defense, and they hide, and they just want to get away with it. Together, I think there is a smidgy chance we might just be able to stop this from happening. And first up, we have Pop Vanish V2, which I'm guessing stands for version 2, by Sultan Orazaly. And this isn't really my cup of tea. This is one of those gimmicks that I really stay clear of. But I watched the trailer for it, and it's clearly great on video, so you'd have no problem performing this for social media, which, if you've seen my social media efforts, you'll know I'm not a social media guru. This is the gimmick here. Well, first of all, the effect is that you show a card that's got a hole cut in the middle of it. It's like a blue backed frame made from a card. You put that on top of a red deck, and you pick up the frame and the top card of the deck with it, so you can see the red backed card through the middle. You know, give a little wave, and that card vanishes very visually and reappears, in theory, back on top of the deck, or could be anywhere you like. The tutorial is just 8 minutes long. It's got some very grating music. Maybe that's my age. This trick isn't really for me as it is. The gimmick and the tutorial is great. The tutorial is very clear, teaches you exactly how to handle the gimmick, how to get it into position, how to pick up the cards. Really good. There's no bit on how this gimmick is actually made or how to fix it should anything go wrong. And this is one of the problems I've got with all of these style gimmicks, is that they are, no matter how well made gimmick they are, this is by Hondo. It's brilliantly made. I can see the craftsmanship's got into it. It's very clever. It works very well. And perhaps now looking at it, I would have a quick look at it first now and see how it's made, just in case anything does go wrong. And also there's tension, and it's created by Philippe Flap. So, stuff can snap, stuff wears, stuff creases. So you might be looking at trying to make a new one at some point anyway. The construction is pretty simple if you look at it and just analyze it before you start messing about. And the effect is great. I think it's a really visual effect. There's not really much of a routine to go with it, and that's sort of what bothers me most with all of these things. It's a highly visual vanish of a card. When I'd do it is beyond me at the moment. But there you go. So it does look good. It looks fine. It will fly, I think, in the real world, if you've just got more of a structured routine. Card selected and put on top of the deck, you put it in the frame, it vanishes, and it can reappear somewhere else. You couldn't do it with a signed card, but it would be a good trick. And I do like it. I do think it's a very visual thing. I sort of got it in because I don't have much social media stuff on the website, and this is certainly good for that. And I partly felt it'd be really nice if I had a decent routine with a nice visual vanish of a card that then moved to somewhere else or swap places. Haven't quite mastered what I would do with this yet. It's a good gimmick. It works really well. It's easy to do, even for me, who really hasn't got any sort of knack or muscle memory for these kind of things at all. The value on this side, I've got the Joker. You can't choose what the value is, unfortunately. It's just completely random. Don't think that really matters too much. I guess the Joker's probably far from ideal. I'd rather it be a picture card, to be honest. It'd be much better for it. It's $29.99, but there's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into making this. That's Pop Vanish by Sultan, Orazaly and Hondo. And next up, we've got Profile by Nikolas Mavresis. Nikolas Mavresis and David Jonathan. This is the hot seller. It's been a great, the end of this year has been absolutely terrific for some tricks that seem to be vying for the 2023 Trick of the Year. And while I mentioned that, actually, the current first front runner is back in stock. Yes, Mini Book Pro by Noel Qualter and Roddy McGee is back in stock. Brilliant trick. You can go back and see all of the reviews. This is also brilliant. I really, really do think this is an incredible trick. It's a kind of amalgamation of Nikolas's personalities trick and one of David Jonathan's previous tricks as well. They kind of brought them together to come up with this. The effect is a sort of combination of card at any number and a spelling trick. You show a prediction and then you give the deck of cards to someone and you ask them 4 questions. You will only ever ask them 4 questions, and you can tell them there's only going to be 4 questions at the start. So don't worry if you think that that is going to be anyway iffy. They answer the questions however they like, and they deal down, they spell their answers basically. And one of those questions could be name anything that you see. Is that free? The freedom is brilliant. The deck's in their hands, which is incredible. They deal down, and after the end of the 4 questions, they end up with 1 card. You remove that card and you show your prediction, and you're predicting to say something. If you've chosen a red card, you're really, really clever. It'll be a black card, but you'll show that the back's red. But that's not a big surprise because all the decks are red, aren't they? No, they're not. You turn it over and they've chosen the only red backed card. It is super, super clean. There's nothing in the deck to give away anything. It's not there. It is an ordinary deck. What you get in here is something that you will probably use. You should use, really, unless you're doing this a lot. This is your aid memoir, as it were, and it's a little gimmick, and there are various ways of using this. I don't want to say too much about it, and it just helps you perform the trick without having to use any memory. You get 8 of these, so if there's any wear and tear, you're still absolutely fine. But there are ways of using it where there's no wear and tear. It hides in plain sight. You know, it's there to help you, and you will need it. And otherwise, the trick is completely self-working. You just ask them the 4 questions, you watch them spelled down. I can even make spelling mistakes. The method is really clever, really smart. It's a real magician's fooler as well as a layman's fooler. They do teach lots of other versions as well. So there's a blank deck version, a double blank deck version. They get more involved, and you might have to do some deck switching or some marking of cards and things like that. And I don't think it's necessary, especially not for lay people. I don't really want to have to explain why I've got a blank deck of cards or anything else. I think they've, you know, the blue and the red is an absolutely fine change for me. You can sort of jazz with it, so only one of the 4 questions really matters, and once you know what that involves, you can play around a little bit. So you can also make it into different languages if you want, so don't worry about that. Once you know the idea and the method, you can do that, and you can change it. So some of them is a bit like they're sort of Las Vegas and Bahamas. You know, would you go to Las Vegas or Bahamas? And I would kind of, for me, that would be Butlins or Pontins. So you can play around with the questions. There is a short troubleshooting section. Should you have the one spectator in the world who tries desperately hard to make this fail. It's not really an issue. It's nice that David included it. I think this is foolproof in my experience. It is just a really, really good card trick that, because it's self-working, you can play with the presentation, you can have a lot of fun with it, you can really emphasize that they could have chosen something else, they could have spelt a different word, you can really exaggerate just how free this is. And also, because it uses any deck, you can just carry it with you normally. You can set it up on the fly and you're good to go. It is up there as one of the best tricks of 2023 for sure. It is certainly the bargain of the week because it is only $21.99 for some super strong, incredibly easy, incredibly enjoyable card magic. It is Profile by David Jonathan and Nikolas Mavresis. And now it's Cloak by Chris Congreave. This is so much fun. This really tickled me. I have put a review of it on the Facebook page. It's like Monty Python meets the 10 card poker deal. It's terrific. If you don't know the 10 card poker deal, it goes back to I think Arthur Buckley in the 40s, and then Bruce Elliott in the 50s, and it was normally done with a Jonah card. I do it with a Jonah card. It is a brilliant trick. Basically, you have 10 cards, and the spectator chooses which 5 he's having, which 5 you have, and you always win. And then you have several phases. I do a combination of Alan Ackerman's and Mexican Poker by Darwin Ortiz. There's a super fun thing to do. Those versions use a Jonah card, which just creates this freedom of choice of the cards, and it's a really good. If you don't do a 10 card poker deal, I really strongly suggest you do. One of the problems with the 10 card poker deal is that, especially in England, there's the order of the hands and what beats what can be a bit of an issue, whether 3 of a kind beats 2 pair or vice versa. So that is the one little drawback of poker deal. This has none of those problems at all. It starts off like a 10 card poker deal. You show you've got 10 cards, you're going to play a game of cards. Very freely, the participant picks 5 cards for himself and 5 cards for you. When he turns them over, he has the royal flush, the unbeatable hand in poker. You said, well, I can't beat that, can I? Oh, you'd bet £10 on that, wouldn't you? He would obviously say yes. And you go, unfortunately, we're not playing poker. We were playing Cluedo, and I have Colonel Mustard with the lead piping in the library, and you owe me £10. It is real great rug pull gag that had me in fits of laughter and will have your audience in fits of laughter. It is also self-working. The method of the selection is a combination of, David Solomon, John Bannon and Paul Gordon. Super clean, easy to do, and you can actually, I think, don't dust over the magic on this. When they have given themselves the royal flush, do you go, well, blimey, you've picked the best hand. How did you manage that? You can really emphasize the fact that they have had a free choice and they have ended up with those incredible 5 cards. And then you show the brilliant denouement of the fact that you've been playing Cluedo all along. So these are actually printed on Steve Deller's Night Flight deck. I don't know why they're aged like this. It's fine. Just don't know why. And obviously these are the cards. You get a Clue card as well as a Cluedo card. So that's for other countries. Cluedo is English, I think, and I think almost every other country uses Clue. You get a blank card so that you can write, Chris uses "you owe me £10" at the end of it, as if there's been a £10 bet, but you can write anything you want on that. That's the printed £10 bet. And here's the very British sense of humour. So you've got the library and Colonel Mustard and everything else, but you've also got the cucumber as a weapon, which is the one that I use. That's sort of like the last card I turn over, gets a really big laugh. I mean, it's so difficult not to fall in love with this trick. It amazes me. The instructions are printed instructions. There's no video of it all, but you can see a performance, and the method is really, really simple. The instructions are very, very clear. I absolutely love it. It's probably not going to be the trick of 2023, but it is the funniest trick of 2023. It really does take the poker deal and give it a massive spin. Well done, Chris. I think it's great. It is Cloak by Chris Congreave. It's $27.99. And now, like buses always coming at once, it's Giant Robot, another take on the 10-card poker deal. Different method, an entirely different approach to it, and it takes it away from cards. Like I say, especially in England or in a non, if you're not doing it for anyone who's played poker before, the one drawback of 10-card poker deal is the order of the hands. This plays on a game of Find the Robot. Basically, you've got these 10 cards. They've all got different pictures on, like a car or a crane or a submarine, and one's got a robot. And you pull out the instructions and you say, it says the winner is the good person with the robot. You give them a little mixy, you spread them out, and you each start selecting cards. And it turns out that you end up with the robot, thus winning. But you then open up the instructions a bit further and says, unless you've got the giant robot, and you then have the participant build a giant robot from all of their cards, laying them out in a pattern so that they've won. It's a really, really good, fun trick. I really want to like it more. For me, it somehow falls flat. I don't know what it is. I think it's because you then have to open it up, and then the time it takes to build the robot just sort of takes it away from a little too far from the choice of cards. And the really, really good. It's based on parity method that Josh points back to mathematical puzzles back in 2002. It's very similar to the patio force or the parity force that's sort of used in Mel Stover's immovable object, and when you move the ice cube along the glasses. What is really nice about this force is it's so hands-off. You just spread the cards out in a line, you pick from one end, the participant picks from the other end. You can then have the cards cut, or you can do a false shuffle if you want, spread them out again, and it goes through, and it seems very hands-off, very free. The participant can cut the cards and spread them himself if you like. It's a lovely selection process for sure. And I think it's a process that now that Josh has sort of upped it up from, I mean, Martin Gardner's published it and so on, but now Josh has brought it back into the light. It's probably going to be used for a lot of other tricks as well. The cards are really nice. So the cards are really well printed. They handle like standard bicycle poker playing cards. Well printed. The robot's nice and cute. The pictures are nice and cute. It is very possible that this could be a children's game. This is the instructions. These are the instructions. You see the robot wins. It's called Manic Machines, and that's the printed thing at the end. And yeah, you really just want to carry the cards wrapped up in that, and you've got the idea that this is actually a children's game. These cards are also marked in various ways as well, so you might come up with other routines using those markings, which is a nice little touch. It opens it up for a bit more imagination and so on. I think I might take this a little bit further than Josh, because I do really, really like the method so much, and it's definitely got value, and it's definitely a good trick. I think what might be nice to do is to have several phases. So you win a couple of times, and maybe, you know, have some bets or some poker chips going down, and then you go, okay, winner takes all. Here's the last hand, and then do it, and then have them with the giant robot. I think that would just make it a little bit more me. Josh does the tutorial himself. It's super clear. He teaches how either you can win or the participant can win with the robot, depending on how you want to play it. It is a really, really nice, really charming, easy to do packet trick. It is Giant Robot by Josh Burch, $16.99. And last up, we have the limited edition Deluxe by Gordon Bean and Larry Jennings. Yes, this apparently came about when Larry Jennings and Gordon Bean were having a chat, I like to think over a glass of whiskey in the bar of the Magic Castle. And it's a take on the Princess card trick, but the card goes blank and you give them a blank card and you show that they've all vanished. The Princess card trick goes back to Henry Harding back in the early 1909, something like that. And then Sam Horowitz in the 30s did it. It's in Encyclopedia of Card Tricks, which I think was published in 1937. It is a brilliant, brilliant card trick, often done on social media or online. This doesn't have to be done like that. The tutorial is by Nick Lacapo, the guy with the hair at Penguin, and he teaches it really, really well. He teaches it in a sort of straight up version where you just show the cards to the person, have them think of one card going blank, showing that it's happened, turn it around. And that is pretty much the routine as you'd expect. It is a really powerful routine. It is nice and clean. And you get to see several performances of it before he runs through the handling and he explains exactly what you get in here. I can't really show you what you get in here, apart from they are, well, you get a double blank card and a blank face card. You get various different gimmicks. They are mandolin backs, which doesn't matter because this is essentially a packet trick. The only reason I mention mandolin backs is Nick takes them out of a box to start off with. If you're really, really fussy, you might want a mandolin box, but no one's going to notice. Honestly, no one will notice. The tutorial starts off with him explaining exactly what each gimmick is for. And there's quite a few. There's like 10 or 11 cards in here. 5 are for the main routine. And then you have slightly different gimmicks for slightly different presentations. Nick starts off by doing the classic presentation, which is very similar to the Princess card trick. And you get a couple of performances as well before he runs through the handling. Really, really nicely done, and you can see that it gets some really good reactions. You then have my favorite bit, which is Eugene Berger doing his version of it and his performance of it, and it is a very, very good presentation. It also puts the card in the spectator's hands, which is really nice. Eugene gives it a big build up and he says that the impossible is going to happen, and you kind of do meet those expectations, but perhaps in a way that they're not literally expecting. It's brilliant, and it just shows how versatile this trick is as a sort of proper sit-down card trick routine, as opposed to a walk-around bar effect. You also have Dan Harlan doing his version. He's got a very nice presentation, which is a little sort of shaggy dog story about the ink on the cards, which is really nice. His handling has various different convincers as well to sort of cleanly show all of the cards are normal, irregular, and above board. And again, you can put one card, the last card can end up in that spectator's hands, which is brilliant. And it's a fun presentation for sure. And then towards the end, you've got Max Maven's performance online and one by Harry Anderson. Harry Anderson, I'm a big fan of Harry Anderson. If you're ever bored, just check out some Harry Anderson videos and I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun. I mean, as you'd expect from Gordon Bean and Larry Jennings, it is simply a brilliant packet trick. There are lots and lots of variations that you can do with it because they've given you so many different gimmicks to play around with. Just go out, have some fun with this. It's only $16.99. It is the limited edition Deluxe by Gordon Bean and Larry Jennings. And that's the end of the show. Oh, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've got a big mug of tea. Perhaps you're having an Irish breakfast, which is something I learned about from the last video, if you read the comments. Please go out there, grab some magic, grab one of these tricks if you must, and go and have some fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye bye.